Welcome to the video how to use the ETI validation utility. This video will guide you through each of the steps of the ETI validation utility to ensure that the correct employment tax incentive values reflect on your payroll. It is advisable to back up before continuing with this option. So how do you access this utility? From the main menu, click on Utilities, select ETI, select ETI validation. Caution: if you have not made a backup, please do so now before continuing with this option. Once you select ETI validation utility, a message will appear. It is advisable to backup before continuing with this option. Please click OK, and if you did not create a backup as yet, please do so before continuing. The ETI validation utility consists of 3 steps. Step 1. Validate ETI setup and data. Step 2. Extract data and amend. Step 3. Import amended ETI file. Click on Step 1. Validate ETI setup and data. The file should download automatically. If your download does not automatically start, you can click here to manually start the download. Please be patient, and the Excel workbook will download and display the validation errors. The company ETI setup and the employee ETI data will be validated. Any errors or omissions will be identified and recorded on the Excel workbook per employee per month. Should you need further assistance per step, there are help buttons available, and there is also import guidelines, setup guidelines, and ETI calculation buttons available at the bottom of the screen. This example will show how to run the ETI validation utility on Sage Business Cloud Payroll Professional. From the main menu, click on Utilities, ETI validation. A message will appear. It is advisable to backup before continuing with this option. If a backup was created, you may click on OK to proceed with the process. To start, click on Step 1, Validate ETI setup and data. The Excel file will generate. Should the file not download automatically, you can click here. The Excel file will open. Validation errors will be indicated in column G under Validation Errors. Click on the Solution tab and follow the guidelines to amend any ETI setup errors or employee ETI. The reason for the validation error for the current tax year, as well as the solution, will be recorded on the solution sheet of this Excel workbook. The Excel workbook will consist of the Validation tab and the Solutions tab. So once identified on the Validation tab, the errors, access the Solution tab. The Solution tab will have explanation of the error, where to get the detail of information, how to correct the current period, and how to correct the history period. As explained, Step 1 will validate the ETI setup and the data. Should employee ETI history data be required to be amended, you may continue to Step 2. The Excel workbook can be saved and closed after the validation has been verified. There is also ETI guides available to assist you. ETI calc information. This will explain how the calculation is applied in the payroll. Setup guidelines. How to set up ETI in your payroll company. Import guidelines. Guideline document on the requirements for the ETI CSV file layout. The tool will automatically create the ETI CSV file in the layout to import into the system. Once the validation of the ETI setup and data was completed, you may continue to Step 2, Extract data and amend. All the employee ETI history data will be extracted for the current tax year. Detailed notes accompany this step. You may amend history data on the Excel sheet as per the validation reports in Step 1, but this is optional. You may select to recalculate ETI sets, periods, and incentive values. Please consult the notes for details pertaining the functionality of this Excel workbook. Let's focus on the different ETI export selections on step 2. The ETI data will be extracted for the beginning of the tax year up until the current processing period. The following selections can be made. Select your range of employees. You can select all the employees, a specific range of employees, a department, a pay point, a category, a Patterson manager, a RSC code. You can also select which employees you want to export. Active employees, terminated employees, all employees, current, new, and terminated employees. We recommend that you select all employees as they can be ETI on terminated employees as well. You also have an option for sort sequence, sort according to name, employee code, department, pay point, category, RSC code, Patterson, job title, manager. Click on Export. File successfully created, employee record export. Select OK. An Excel workbook will open with the ETI validation process. To proceed to the next step of your ETI validation utility, click on Step 2, Extract Data and Amend. As explained earlier, you have different exporting options available. You can select to export active employees, terminated employees, all employees, current, new, and terminated employees. You will also have an option of a sort sequence, and you can select the range of employees. Take note of the export file expeti.csv. As suggested earlier, select all employees. Once you are happy with your selection, you may proceed and click on Export. A message will indicate that the file successfully created and indicate the number of records exported. Click on OK. The file should download automatically. If your download does not automatically start, please click here to manually start the download. The system will prompt you to select the destination folder where you want to save this export file. Select your destination and click on Save. You will then return back to the file download and you may click on Finish. We will be focusing on Step 2 ETI validation process. If you have not made the backup, please do so before continuing with this option. Please note that it will remain your responsibility to ensure all the values are correct before you import them. There is a notes bar available should you need further assistance. Part of the ETI validation process Step 2, there is Option 1, Manual History Adjustments. Use this option to review and amend ETI history information that will influence the calculation of the ETI tax incentive. This is the employee ETI history data for the current tax year. You may amend the history data on the Excel sheet as per the validation report in Step 1. This data is used to recalculate the ETI sets, periods and incentive values in Option 2. For a detailed explanation of each field on this sheet, please consult the import guidelines found under the main menu, Utilities, ETI validation. Continuing on Option 1 Manual History Adjustment, you can save the Excel workbook at any time. You can run recalculations of Option 2 multiple times. When you are done, click on Back to Menu and select the next step. If you have made all the applicable amendments on this sheet, go back to the main menu and proceed with Option 2. Run recalculation of ETI set, period, and tax incentive. This is just an example of the manual history adjustment. Click on Manual History Adjustments. The Excel workbook will open the ETI history data for the current tax year. You may amend the history data of this Excel sheet as per the validation report in Step 1. This data is used to recalculate the ETI sets, periods, and incentive values in Option 2. For a detailed explanation for the field on the screen, you can consult the import guidelines. As explained, there will be indication of the period set, count, the ETI incentive value, and this will be for the current tax year. Once you are satisfied with the information provided, you may select Back to Menu. Moving forward to option 2, run recalculation of ETI sets, periods, and tax incentives. Before you run the recalculation, ensure all the manual history adjustments have been made. The history adjustments will influence the calculation of the sets, periods, and tax incentive values. When you run the recalculation, for a few extra columns will be added to the sheet. If the company wants to claim a higher ETI value, adjust the value in the tax incentive to import column with the value that will be imported. Once you select option 2, run recalculation of ETI sets, period, and tax incentive, there will be a message. Would you like to proceed with the recalculation? Select OK or Cancel. An Excel workbook will generate displaying the recalculated information. This example will show you how to run the recalculation of ETI sets, periods, and tax incentive. Click on to Run Recalculation of ETI sets, periods, and tax incentive. The system will prompt you to confirm if you want to proceed with the recalculation. Click on OK. The Excel workbook will open and it will indicate the changes and recalculations in the green columns. It will also show if the line changed. In the change line, it will indicate, for example, as a yes. It will also indicate in red what changed. So in this example, we will see that the period set was 1, the count was 3. The system changed it to 1 and 0. The columns that can be imported then will be the set, the count, and the tax incentive to be imported. Once you are happy with the recalculation, you can save the import file and return back to the menu. Once the recalculation of the ETI sets, periods, and tax incentives were completed, you may proceed to option 3 to create the import file. When you select this option, you will have 3 import options. The first option will be to import all data except the incentive values. So this option will be used only if you wanted to import the sets and periods. So this option will create an import file with all the data, including the changes made to fields recalculated ETI sets and periods. Newly calculated incentive values will not be imported. The original incentive values will be kept. The second option is to import all the data. This option will create an import file with all the data, including changes made to the fields recalculated ETI sets and periods, as well as the incentive values as per the tax incentive to import column. The third option is to cancel. This will cancel the action and take you back to the main menu. This example will show you how to create the import file. Click on number 3, Create Import File. The system will prompt you with one of the 3 options of the import file. Import all data except incentives, import all data, or cancel. Import all data except incentives will only include the sets and the periods. It will not include the recalculated incentive values. Thus, if you only want to update the periods and the sets, this is the option you will select. Import all data will update the sets, the periods, and the recalculated incentive values. Cancel will return you back to the main menu. I will select Import all data. Select the destination where the file must be stored. Click on OK. Select the destination file and save. The system will indicate the path where the file is saved. You can just click on OK and return back to the main menu. As explained earlier, the import options will prompt you to select the destination path to save the import file. Make sure that the file did save in this location. The default file name will be impeti.csv. Please do not open the saved file in Excel. It will change the formatting of the fields and you will not be able to import the file successfully. Now that the import file was created, you can select option 4, Import File. You will be prompted with a message that you may now close the Excel workbook. Access now the payroll company. If you have not made a backup, please make a backup before importing the file into the payroll. From the main menu, click on Utilities, select ETI, select ETI Validation. Follow the on-screen prompts to import the file created and save during option 3. This example will show you how to import your amended ETI file into your payroll company. Access your payroll company. From the main menu, click on Utilities, ETI, ETI Validation. A message will appear. It is advisable to backup before continuing with this option. If a backup was generated already, you may proceed and click on OK. On the ETI validation screen, step 3 will be to import amended ETI file. Click on step 3. A message will appear. It is advisable to make a backup before proceeding with importing employee ETI history. Do you want to make the backup now? If a backup was not generated as yet, you can click on Yes and the backup will generate. If you already did create a backup, you may proceed and click on No. You will now be on the Utilities Import ETI tag on screen. The file can now be dragged and dropped that you want to import. Once the file is dragged and dropped, you will select Upload and the file name will appear. You may proceed to click on Import. The system will validate the information in the importing process. If there were any outstanding information, a report will indicate the validation errors that need to be corrected and a re-import can be done. You may just click on Finish once you have downloaded your validation report. The system will then indicate Import Process Complete and indicate the number of records processed. You can click on OK and you will return back to the main menu. Once you have completed step 1 to 3 on the ETI validation tool, you can run step 1 of the ETI validation to validate if the mentioned errors have been corrected. Some errors on the report can be valid. This can be ignored if the ETI setup is correct. Some important information to take note of. So you will start with accessing your ETI validation options and run step 1 to validate the ETI information. This will also indicate if there's any validation errors. Be on the lookout for the incorrect sets or incorrect rebate validation errors. If values that are imported are less than the values already declared on your EMP 201 report, the administrator will need to restate the EMP 201 values. Please note that this may result in penalties as ETI was overclaimed. Please check and make the ETI adjustments as soon as possible. Customers claiming ETI are encouraged to run the ETI validation utility every month as part of their monthly processing checklist. Closing off with a frequently asked question. I have submitted my Metro EMP 501 reconciliation to SARS. When I run the tool, it changed my values from March to August 2021. What do I do? Should you have overclaimed your ETI, please make the payment to SARS as soon as possible after you have revised your EMP 201 and EMP 501 declaration. A full resubmission might be required depending on the changes. Should you need assistance with the process, as mentioned above, please refer to the SARS Easy File Employer Guide available on the SARS website. Link provided below.